A very good evening to you, our dear viewer. This is the 8th of June 2023, and my name is Patricia Lukomampango, and on sign language I'm joined by Elizabeth Nakakuni. But first, before we delve into the stories, let's have the headlines. All is set for Heroes Day celebrations in Luero. With KCC supplier government to terminate delayed contracts in the capital city. And in court, judge declines to hear Ham's administrative application in the case against DTB. Welcome once again, and into the news. President Museveni has announced that he has tested positive for COVID-19 and will be entering self-isolation as a precautionary measure. The president says he experienced mild flu-like symptoms, prompting him to undergo testing, which confirmed the diagnosis. Despite being cautious and adhering to preventive measures, Museveni assured the public that these symptoms remain mild and that he is in good health. However, he stressed the importance of caution and self-isolation once tested positive. Prime Minister Robin Nabanja has been delegated to represent the president at tomorrow's Heroes Day celebrations in Luero. The president says this marks only the second in time in 53 years he has taken a forced leave, the first being during the fight against Idi Amin in 1971. He's expressed gratitude for the well wishes received, extending his blessings to Ugandan people. Uganda's industrialization drive is bearing fruit, with many factories being set up. While delivering the State of the Nation address, President Museveni disclosed that 8 government-owned industrial parks are currently operational. This, he says, is in line with the country's quest for industrialization, employment creation, as well as economic growth and development.
President Yoweri Museveni assured the country visitors that the security situation is peaceful despite isolated cases of misuse of firearms. Government is actively strengthening security forces to handle emerging security threats and address issues of discipline while enhancing security infrastructure and welfare.
Of security personnel in the Uganda People's Defense Force and the Uganda Police and Uganda prisons.
The president commended security agencies for maintaining a secure atmosphere during the Martyrs' Day celebrations, as no reports of terror threats were reported. However, about 140 were apprehended for petty crimes during the event.
The ability to manage a huge pre-announced event while the terrorists are still running around in neighboring countries such as Congo, Somalia, etc., demands salutations to our security personnel, weaknesses here and there notwithstanding.
Addressing the issue of cross-border security, President Museveni demanded that the Turukanas from Kenya immediately cease entering Uganda with firearms if they wish to remain in the country.
But we shall do it. They will stop, otherwise they even killed our geologists. 3 of our geologists were killed. I want those who killed the geologists to be brought back. They brought back the guns, but not the killers. I want the killers.
In the Usalama kwa Wote disarmament operation, a significant number of firearms, ammunition and stolen livestock were recovered and returned to their rightful owners. Although Uganda and Kenya signed an agreement for concurrent disarmament operations, there have been reports of mistakes and corruption during the exercise.
The corrupt elements in the army that stole the money of the vigilantes will be punished. And so will all the corrupt that undermined the total peace we had achieved in Karamoja between 2007 and 2018. Because 2007 2018 was total peace in Karamoja. Everybody agrees. Then what happened?
The president expressed his concern regarding cattle theft by the Pokot community and urged them to refrain from such activities, warning of consequences if they continue.
What I know is Pokot are committed. Pokot are people who can say we cannot do this and they cannot. For them, once an animal is stolen, even in the kraal, you'll never see a Pokot running after it. That one is an abomination. Take me to court, I will swear it. The Pokot will have to call for an officer, either a soldier or a police. Report that my cow has been stolen, and the soldier will take action to follow. And they've been so patient in time. Every time they're impatient. And next thing they're saying, should we always go to the bush to collect the guns also? Because they're really tired.
In the ongoing offensive against the ADF in the thickets of the Democratic Republic of Congo, significant progress has been made. Since its launch in 2021, numerous weapons including SMGs, machine guns, and RPG tubes have been recovered. A substantial number of ADF combatants have been neutralized, and efforts have been made to rescue abductees and encourage defections. Uganda has also contributed forces to the regional East African Standby Force aimed at addressing security challenges arising from instability in Congo. Additionally, operations targeting the vandalism of electricity infrastructure have resulted in the arrest of 15 suspects in central Uganda.
The arrests also targeted elements within Umeme and a network of scrap dealers. The operations have since recovered over 300 tons of assorted electricity equipment. This vandalism is done by haters of the NRM. Inspired progress in Uganda. They don't want to see progress. They feel very unhappy when they see these electricity wires. They thought Uganda would not come up. So we are going to be very harsh with them.
These points were highlighted during the State of the Nation address marking the opening of the third session of the 11th Parliament at Kololo in Kampala. Ivan Kahwa, UBC News.
Well, we do apologize. That wasn't the economic progress story. It was rather the security that happened there at State of the Nation address in Kololo, where the president stressed the crucial role of security in fostering favorable measures in the business environment and, of course, highlighting the government efforts to bolster security in order to address emerging threats. Now, on to the economic progress. Uganda's industrialization drive is bearing fruit, with many factories being set up. While delivering the State of the Nation address, President Yoweri Museveni disclosed that 8 government-owned industrial parks are currently operational.
Just when the head of state was about to address the nation on Wednesday, the expectations from members of parliament were high.
The issue of government programs being implemented as it should be, and especially for the president to talk about corruption.
So we expect him to address the issues of industrialization, the issues of electricity in the country. We would really wish to see that all our areas are connected to the electricity grid.
But I am sure with these programs of interventions, much will be better. But I'm sure he's going to talk about corruption.
Some expected the president to address issues affecting the economy, while others wanted him to address security concerns.
Especially increasing the purchasing power of Ugandans, ensuring that money is in the hands of very many in this country.
On arrival, the president did not disappoint. Top among the issues he addressed was the need to drive the economy further.
The economic growth rate for this year is projected at 5.5% in real terms, compared to 4.7% last financial year, 2021-2022. Over the next 5 years, the economy is projected to grow at an average rate of 6.57% per year. Therefore, by the end of the financial year 2023-2024, Uganda's GDP is projected to grow up to 207.22 trillion shillings, which is equivalent to $55.2 billion.
He emphasized the need for value addition as opposed to selling raw materials.
I've said that our economy will be of the GDP size of US dollars 55.2 billion by the end of the financial year 2023-2024. This is assuming a rate of growth of 6% per annum. This is all while our economy is still largely raw material based. This is the problem I have with finance. And all those wonderful people, agriculture, what? All these plans, 6% rate of growth, this one, they are all assuming we remain a raw materials producing country, which I don't accept.
As for corruption, Museveni warned against misuse of PDM funds.
Doing things through the computer eliminates these meetings in hotels between government officials and business people, because that's where the corruption is. What are you going to discuss in the hotel? Why don't you send him a message on the computer? That's why e-governance is crucial. It will help.
Vision, projection, and hope remain keen in the eyes and ears of many Ugandans as the country looks forward to receiving the budget reading next week.
Now, the chairman of the organizing committee for this year's Heroes Day Celebrations 2023, who doubles as the permanent secretary to the office of the president, Haji Yunus Kakande, has confirmed that the preparations for the day, that is the D-Day, are almost over. Haji Kakande says, as he chairs, that public addressing system and tents have already been mounted.
Security had also been beefed up ahead of the arrival of the chief guest and president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, the organizing committee chair and PS. To the office of the president, Haji Yunus Kakande confirmed. The event is to be held at the grounds of Kasala Catholic Church, where preparations for Heroes Day celebrations are in full gear.
Actually, I can say that we have finished. People are now just organizing this tent, seating arrangements and putting their labels where people will say that this is for ministers, this is for members of parliament, this is for religious leaders, this is for veterans. So that's what now they're finalized, and some minor decorations.
Haji Kakande says the event will involve the commissioning of 35-kilometer Luwero-Butalangwa road for tamaking.
That road is going to be commissioned from, as I told you, from Luwero to Butalangwa. Butalangwa is in Wachatu.
While speaking to the residents of Balichejusa Market in Luwero district, they outlined some challenges they face seeking for presidential intervention. The administrator in the office of the national chairman who visited the locals in Luwero, Hajati Nachimuli, encouraged them to work with the NRM government for the development of Luwero Triangle. A total of 51 people will be recognized tomorrow with medal awards. I'm Nafka Farida and Muyingo Joseph.
Well, thank you very much there, Namfuka Farid. And now over to Busia as Ugandans prepare to celebrate the Heroes' Day. Busia people can't forget to commemorate their own who have struggled for socio-economic development for their own district. Busia has few persons regarded as Busia heroes who have managed to hold Busia district high socially, politically, and economically.
Among those Busia people regard heroes in the district include Fatuma Nasanga and Dr. Oundo George Abwere. A third 3 medalists at Tororo in 2019. The late Wafula Moses Mapesa, former executive director at Uganda Wildlife Authority. Joseph Mulimi Erima. The late Werimande Wedakule. Gabriel Opio. Former MP for Samia Bugwe South Constituency. Justice Ogola and Justice Odoki. Swaib Mohana, a resident at Mawero East in Busia municipality, says Fatuma Nasanga worked harder for economic growth, high exceptional commitment so many people in Busia build modern houses and educated their children.
Era yakola emikwano n'agenda Mbale Michael Support Center nayo netuwaayo ku kasente.
Naigaga Justice says Opio Gabriel, who managed to distribute coffee seedlings and cassava cuttings to farmers, Chief Justice Ogola, who translated the English Bible to Lusamia Lugwe, are heroes in the land.
Nebaza gavumenti era njisaba yeyongera otwongera emidaali.
We managed to speak out to Fatuma Nasanga, 62 years of her age, a former local council women leader commonly known as Nabachala for Busia municipality. A medalist of 2019, 33 NRM Victory Liberation Year held at Tororo, narrates that she started by mobilizing both women and the youths to form saving groups in Busia municipality and elsewhere in the district. Her efforts to change the community were recognized by government, and she was awarded a medal in 2019. Joseph Mulimi Erima, 65 years of age, a resident of Buyengwe village, Buhobalo Parish, Buyanga sub-county, Busia. A politician, also contributed a lot towards the development of his sub-county of Buyanga and Busia at large. Erima is currently the chairperson of OC3 Buyanga sub-county and a subsistence farmer sitting on 17 acreage of land. He turned a hero when he surrendered his land for free for the construction of present Buyanga sub-county headquarters, situated in Samia Bugwe North constituency.
And it's the locals who are now helping me to cultivate in my projects, and I had raised some money. So I did it to also to pay back what they had, the efforts they had given me.
Other recognized heroes in Busia district include the late Weremande Wedakule, the owner of Sangalo Hotel and Beach at Lake Majanji, and former Equator Hotel in Busia municipality along Ginger Road Highway, currently called Rand Hotel. His investments have helped to address the issues of unemployment in Busia district and contributed to the district's revenue collection tax base.
Now, Operation Shuja Commander Major General Dick Olum has engaged the Congolese community in a move to drum support for the Operation Shuja joint military operation against the ADF in North Kivu and Ituri in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. General Olum said that the core objective of coming to Congo is to help a FADC flush out if the ADF terrorists from their safe haven, and so that both countries can have some peace.
This is Kaluruma, formerly Allied Democratic Forces ADF camp and hideout. Trading centers remain the only lifeline for the Congolese because of the presence of UPDF troops guarding civilians who left their villages due to the ADF insurgencies. Where there is UPDF, Congolese move freely and business is as usual. The joint forces in Sector 3 have begun conducting regular meetings with Congolese local chiefs and civic leaders to discount hostile enemy propaganda against the forces.
Sisi wote tunalala usalama, tunaona security kabisa, haiko sawa mbele, tunaanza pumua mzuri.
Funga kamba lakini maji inachukua kabisa. Sasa wewe iko na bido. Unavuka hii maji hapa na bido iko mchezo. maana yake kuna motera ambao wanafanya nini, wanatumia.
Operation Soja Command designed a mechanism to always hold regular meetings to gather intelligence about the enemy.
Activities to the Congo, to the Congolese people. For example, because we believe we are a people's force back in Uganda, and now we are in Congo, operating with the Congolese military, we tend to transfer all these attributes of the UPDF into the people of Congo through the joint operation with the militaries of Congo.
These meetings clearly help people to know what the forces are doing and how the communities can be of help in addressing security challenges.
Mjipige tochi ndani. Waangalie nani mwenye bado anapatana na adui. Yaani hiyo information mwalete mpatie wakuu ya FARDC na yule mtapatia, ndio tunawasaidia. Tuko pamoja.
Shima bashirikali eribya bavere loba tulanda kwa chikoba ndeke. Twabere kwanzare humula omubwino bwetu mwaha erishika mukaruruma.
Indeed, these meetings have yielded good results, cultivated rapport on the daily basis. This has eased the work of intelligence gathering. Often those who have returned to the villages report back information to designated Operation Soja Forward Base in communities.
No way we shall get the Congolese people suffering without medical, without water, yet we have them in our custody, in our ability to use them. There's no way we shall leave the Congolese people suffer during accidents, during incursions by the ADF, and we don't take them for treatment, either back in Fort Portal or even in Busia in our military hospitals. So we carry with us the UPDF attributes of a people's army.
Haruna Mutesa reporting for UBS News in Eastern Congo.
And in Mutukula, the deplorable state of the road and Masaka Road is severely affecting business on the Central Corridor route. According to Uganda Shippers Council, the poor road infrastructure has raised the cost of freight en route by over 40%, consequently hurting transporters and businessmen. This was observed at a Central Corridor stakeholders consultative meeting in Masaka City.
This is the current state of the Mutukula-Masaka City Road, one of the main trade arteries between Uganda and the rest of the world through the Dar es Salaam port of Tanzania. Traders and truck drivers plying the route are calling for the relevant authorities to come to their rescue.
Kidogo kina changamoto. Unatumia masaa mengi sana kwa sababu ina mashimo na nini. Kwa hiyo mwendo unatakiwa tembee mdogo, ambapo tulitakiwa labda tutumie masaa matatu, tunasumia masaa mpaka 6.
Yani kina mashimo makubwa mno. Kwa hiyo tulikuwa hapa tunaiomba tu serikali ya Uganda itufanyie utaratibu labda kututengenezea ama kutuzibia tu yale mashimo ili hata safari nayo iwe fupi.
The deplorable state of the Masaka-Mutukula border road, as well as the destruction of the Katonga Bridge, topped the discussions at a business community sensitization meeting in Masaka.
Yeah, the traders are incurring a lot of costs, where you find that a driver moving goods from Tanzania to Mutukula and then to the point of destination really takes long, and that alone causes a lot of delay in trade.
And right now that you're on a bad road, again you're coming here, our bridge in Katonga is broken down, you're going to another distance, so there's another extra expense on the side of the transport, the side of importers, because the transporters, their work is to increase what fare. And even right now on that road, the transport fare is high.
Organized by the Uganda Shippers Council with support from the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agency and Tanzania Ports Authority, the meeting sought to promote the utilization of the Central Corridor and the Port of Dar es Salaam.
Uganda is one of our biggest partners. We want to increase the cargo from Uganda all the way to, from the small percent that is right now. So we are working hard. We're trying as much as we can to make sure that the Central Corridor is definitely the route of choice.
A number of issues that require harmonization for a better trading environment were also raised.
There needs to be greater harmonization in terms of systems and also the process. There are differences in both sides, and also There are various issues such as work permits which are being demanded.
Masaka has been one of the most important catchment areas for the Central Corridor. The vibrant urban center has importers, exporters, agents and transporters who actively trade through Tanzania.
So many initiatives are being undertaken to make sure that we serve the Ugandan market. First of this is the free storage period of 30 days. This is there to only serve the Ugandan market, the free storage period of 30 days. The dedicated Ugandan shed as well. We've automated our systems. You can now pay port charges remotely. You don't have to go to the port or to walk through agents.
It is anticipated that the quarterly engagements in the Central Corridor catchment areas will boost relationship and help tackle challenges impeding trade along the corridor. Dennis Ikoa and Charlotte Amuge for UBC News.
Now, artists and politicians are still praising the dramatic skills and knowledge of the late theatre actor Paul Katuna. They say that although most people considered him a comic person, what he did was in line with his creative talent.
Family, friends, relatives and performing artists continue to flock the home of the late actor Paul Katuna, who passed Wednesday morning. One of the long close friends to Katuna, Charles Senkubuge, says the late joined the theatre world during the reign of Dr. Samson Chiseka.
Wali omukulembeze bamitanga Samson Chiseka yayingiranga abantu nga is very popular nga agirega abantu okugeza nga mwezi ogenda ku mukolo omwamuyise yezivayo ye prime minister n'atuuka ne muwa embuzi n'agamba basempala basekeredde kati mwe muwa Chiseka ebyammwe ate obwavu bubatta muli mu nvumu envuza zibalumye Chiseka embuzi zammwe azitwalibwa Ngenega buli akati wangira ne Chiseka watu bayogera kati eddoboozi eryo n'atandika olikozesa bakita kumimikinga ne lifuukira ddala eddoboozi lye andi ne karakita nefuukira ddala karakita simanyi oba watu bwe yali nga Katonda bwe yakireeta naye nga bw'olabirira Katuna abaddagira ya free tafaayo akubulira amazima take it or leave it.
Senkubuge says the demise of Katuna was a shock to him and the rest of his peers.
Netflix ugireta mu Uganda obukola TV omukutu kuteka works zaffe for abantu bazidownloading for money yobulambo bunabadde artist aframada siye.
Salongo Nsubuga Nakalya Kalisa, a long-serving actor at National Theatre, also added his voice to the legacy of the late.
Wanga ambajjukira wano nga bwe bajja okulingiza okulaba tuzannya tutya mu bifo bye twazannyirangamu nga balenzi bato n'abeera n'omula Gavendugwa awo mu Bati Valley awo yatandikira okumanyika ennyo. Abadde ng'aleeta ekintu nga waliwo bangi abamaze okumusunsulirako babadde ne banne kakati katugeze nga bakibuuka mu bamanyi ba Senkubuge.
Kampala Mayor Salongo Erias Lukwago and Samuel Tolbega Mukwaku confessed to have been admirers of Kato's music and drama talent.
Big loss, it was untimely, and we shall always live to remember. He has been a friendly person to each and every one in the creative and artist world. As a celeb,
to credit him that he discovered his niche in life, capitalized on it, and developed it to a level which is really admirable. And by the time he joined politics, his profile was very, very big in that particular industry. And even in politics, where he had a brief stint, he made his mark. We were together in the fight for internal democracy within DP, restoration of rule of law, and also fighting for truth and justice within the party, and our umbrella platform for truth and justice. He was very, very instrumental in its establishment, its formation, and in all the operations.
To them, everything about him was artistic and comic, as he first using his body and the facial expressions as part of his theatrical career.
But sometimes it's funny. Funny because that's his nature, because that's his talent. And he has been using his talent not just in the creative industry, but also while communicating, while teaching, the Bulungi Wansi, while giving great service to Buganda at CBS and in many other ways, or giving great service to this country, even when he became Member of Parliament. But the biggest lesson was he taught the young people that you can become what you want as long as you are determined to.
We shall always miss him. I've shared quite a lot with the Kato since our school days when I was at Kampala High and himself was at Old Kampala. But we would meet quite often. And from that time one would tell that he was talented. He was a person who was destined for the best in the future. Because all you would see every time you would meet him, an accomplished artist, a comedian. Even the mere sight of Kato, look at him, do not fail to beam with amusement, because that's what he really exuded. He exuded that character, that talent, that indeed he was naturally endowed.
By the time of his death, Kato was looking forward to staging a grand show Uganda at 60. Mwaiva Njuko for UBC.
Again, our condolences to the bereaved family. May his soul rest in peace. Right now, we're going to take a short break, but do not go away. We'll return with more news. Stay with us.
Hey, Master Blaster, touch him, man. Bang with muscle. Those ones who say go is for you only. Mundava, best movies I teach you. When I go to Muscari, because of the camera is very far. Is you serious? Is serious you? What? Yeah? You step it on it. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refuse to give you enough meat. Mama! Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the GOAT. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy till it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Mbara and Jinja.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Gulu, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all posts. All requested to take their children to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
MTN Uganda presents Saka Free Balls, King of the East, also recognized by the Kabaka of Uganda. Palazzo in Laves. On the 9th of June at the tables go for 3 million shillings. For discounted tickets, use the MTN mobile money by dialing *165 *98#. For 15k ordinary and 45k VIP. On Saturday the 10th of June, Mbara Ajip Motel. Sunday 11th of June, Fort Portal Grounds. Friday 16th of June, Luwero Grounds. Saturday 17th of June, Ginger Trans Garden. Sunday 18th of June, Mubende Stadium. Organized by Savavulu Badam. Come and witness the best concert of a new generation. Miss at your own risk. Sponsored by Pepsi Cola, Century Property Royal Estate, Mango Safari, Protea Hotel, Radio 4, and MTN.
Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mold Technologies, your professional research firm.
Welcome back from that short break, and in our next segment, proper management and implementation of both private and public projects is still wanting, according to the Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of planning, Amos Lugolobi. Lugolobi points out that this has led to the loss of funds and delay in the implementation projects.
The Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development in charge of planning, Amos Lugolobi, has described the management and implementation of both public and private projects as wanting. Lugolobi was officiating the 3rd National Project Management Conference in Kampala, organized by Project Management Institute, Uganda.
Indeed, we have faced very significant challenges
in the implementation of projects. Let me call it in the management of projects. The PMI, therefore, comes in very handy to address these challenges. Recently, I've been involved in evaluating the performance of externally funded projects. And I can say that all these projects, many of them, have demonstrated dismal performance. They have not performed well. In fact, in some of them, the country has lost a lot of money. Many of them do not register a positive return on investment. The return on investment is not there. In other words, we have invested, but what we expected to see, we are not seeing, or we are just seeing a small portion of what we're expecting.
Lugolobi points out that government has increased funds for capital investment to support economic transformation, and therefore there is need for better project management.
They exercise a lot of ESCO standards that are necessary in project management, and I think this is why we have the Project Management Institute, to make sure that they build the ethical standards of these engineers, the supervising engineers, the contractors, all these people, to ensure that they meet the required ethical standards.
According to the Project Management Institute Uganda, the aim is to have project managers acquire new skills for implementation.
So we believe if the project manager has gone through the right training, the right skill setting, they should be able to also uphold the ethics that guide us as project managers, and that is honesty and fairness.
Good project management is important because the objective of the project is achieved on time and within budget. Diana Kuti, UBC.
Now, Uganda Human Rights Commission is working with Uganda Law Reform Commission and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution to spearhead the Witness Protection Bill. The chairperson, Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, says that the country needs a witness protection law in order to be able to protect victims and witnesses who are likely to be threatened or whose lives are in danger. A witness protection agency has been recommended to protect victims and witnesses from harm.
The Human Rights Commission has noted that Ugandans are not willing to report cases, whether it's developmental, theft or robberies, because they are afraid of their neighbors. The chairperson, Uganda Human Rights Commission, Mariam Wangadia, says there is need to guarantee protection for witnesses and victims. Wangadia recommended for a witness protection agency that will be able to protect victims and witnesses.
We were due to prosecute a case involving a senior person in the government, and we had lined up witnesses, including this young woman who owned a small saloon in Kamuli town. And before the prosecution could commence, she was approached and offered money, and when she declined the money, she was very badly beaten. Up to today, I feel very sad about it. The need for this law is long overdue to protect witnesses like her.
The Director Monitoring and Inspections at Uganda Human Rights Commission, Ruth Sechindi, says prosecution often relies on witness testimonies to prosecute an accused person and claim for the victim. However, Uganda has no legislation to provide for the protection of a witness.
Now, this agency that we are recommending would be able to assess the threat that the victim or witness faces and determine the kind of protection or security that this person can be accorded.
The witness protection is security provided to persons providing evidence to the user system, including defendants, among others. Patricia Arako, a legal officer of Uganda Law Reform Commission, says the act is intended to apply to witnesses in proceedings and are in danger, threat, or ever experienced a threat.
And it will maintain a witness protection program. It will determine the criteria for this admission, who to admit and who to remove. from the Witness Protection Program. It will also determine what kind of protection that will be applied to different circumstances. And it will also advise on the adoption as well as strategies on witness protection and any other function that will be required for the better carrying out of the Act.
The Director, African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims, Samuel Nsobuga, says issues of treatment and rehabilitation must be put into consideration.
Witnesses to human rights violations and abuse will be confident in giving evidence before the courts of law, hence successful prosecution and adjudication of these cases, eventually the deterrence of human rights violations.
Assistant Director, Public Prosecution, Charles Kamalu, says witnesses are the eyes of justice, and without a witness, you cannot make a case.
We are receiving increased threats to witnesses, particularly in cases of corruption, cases of land transactions, transnational crimes, particularly human trafficking. Almost all witnesses in human trafficking cases need protection.
The bill provides for staff of the agency, and Clause 8 provides for professional technical staff as well. Sudat Kaye.
Now, the former Court of Appeal Judge Professor George Wilson Kanyehamba has vowed to sue Amazon Company in the International Courts of Law for illegally publishing his books without his consent. Professor Kanyehamba exposed this in a press conference he held at his home situated in Busia.
There are over 8 books, among others: Constitution and Political History of Uganda, Commentaries
We do apologize for that slight technical problem, but we will have that story in our next bulletin. Now, had it not been for Uganda to allow refugees adopt a semi-independent way of life, having them in confinement would be costly. State Minister for Disaster Preparedness and Refugees, Esther Anyakun, says hosting refugees is to some extent straining, which requires long-lasting solutions.
There are over 1.5 million refugees in Uganda, hosted in various settlements across the country, making Uganda Africa's largest refugee hosting country. This is due to the fragile situation from some of Uganda's immediate neighbors.
You wouldn't prefer to run to Congo when you're coming from Uganda. You would prefer to come to Uganda because of the peace and the peace that we have as a country.
This comes with welfare challenges requiring durable solutions.
So we know we have a constraint, especially on financial related issues. The resource envelope has really reduced. We know all this as a country.
This is part of the basis for the upcoming refugee conference. East African and countries under Intergovernmental Authority on Development are coming together. They want to find lasting remedies to the refugee crisis in the 2 sub-regions.
In IGAD and EAC regions, we have over 17 million forcibly displaced persons, among which 5 million, or almost nearly 5 million, are refugees. Now the conference brings together all the 12 member states of the 2 regional economic communities, first of all, to analyze and discuss the situation of these refugees in view of the fact that these member states are fully committed to the obligations under the Convention on Refugees 1951.
Top among the issues of urgency is finding mechanisms to preventing refugee occurrence.
If the refugees who are coming to Uganda were living in a camp, we wouldn't be in position to do that, because for those ones they have a hot meal every day, and all services have to be given to them there and then. So this one would not be possible if you're having 1.5 million refugees right now in Uganda. So that's why we really appreciate what we have and the open door policy that we have given them.
And therefore, at this point, IGAD appreciates the efforts of government of Uganda and all the 11 member states of the region in ensuring that the commitments and obligations of member states to the protection of persons forcibly displaced are guaranteed.
As of August 2020, Uganda was home to over 10 refugee hosting districts and about 13 refugee settlements. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Are you tired of high fees and slow transfer time when sending money? Airtel Money is here to revolutionize the way you move your money. We have revised our rates back to ground. Sending money from Airtel to other networks in Uganda, East Africa, and to the rest of the world has never been more affordable. Dial *185# and start sending money. Switch to Airtel Money today and experience unbeatable rates and top-notch services for all your local and international money transfer needs. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
The land take for development of Tilenga, Kingfisher and East Africa crude oil pipeline projects in Uganda is approximately 6,900 acres with close to 10,000 project-affected persons. The compensation process involves an inclusive and participatory resettlement action plan study that provides for cash payment, physical resettlement and livelihood improvement packages for the affected persons. 90% of all the project-affected persons have been fully compensated. 200 replacement houses have been constructed and handed over. Communities are also engaged in vocational skills, agriculture, financial literacy programs, employment, and contracting opportunities to improve their livelihoods and grow community content. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda, creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Welcome back as we turn to business. Despite the reopening of the Katuna border between Uganda and Rwanda 1.5 years ago, the business environment in the area continues to struggle. The border was initially closed in February 2019 due to unresolved issues between the governments of both countries.
On March 7, 2022, the Katuna border crossing finally reopened, allowing passenger vehicles to travel between Uganda and Rwanda. There was hope that this opening would revitalize the once vibrant business area. However, the reality for the local business community remains disappointing. Kellen Rangabo, a businesswoman and landlady at the border, talks about the thriving state of her businesses before the border closure. Unfortunately, the reopening did not help them to recover. Rangabo expressed her dismay as the Rwandan buyers who used to frequent her shop vanished, leading to a significant Even the weekly market, formerly known as the World Market, has lost its boom since the border closure. Traders and buyers from Uganda and Rwanda used to flock to this market, but its vibrancy has significantly diminished. Local traders at the market shared their stories of struggling businesses, and there has been no notable improvement even after the border reopened. While the situation remains grim for local businesses, truck drivers have experienced some positive impact from the reopening of the Katuna border. The improved conditions have enhanced their work efficiency and operations.
It's okay. We are coming
We are crossing very well, but
Elvis Nzeure, the Katuna Town Council C3 chairperson, sheds light on the continued slow business growth, primarily due to restrictions on small-scale traders in Rwanda.
There are some restrictions still in Rwanda, whereby the natives of Rwanda are not crossing to Uganda. So, like these people, the traders who trade in small scales, they are not coming because of those charges.
He explains that only a few vendors who manage to pass through the porous borders can conduct transactions in Katuna, further hampering the economic activity in the area.
So many porous borders where the Rwandese are trespassing through. So they don't pass through the customs, they just pass through those porous borders, bringing the beans, the chickens, and some other small items.
The outlook for business at the Katuna border town remains bleak. With a significant number of previously bustling shops now closed, traders find themselves relying on hope and divine intervention for a better future.
In sports, the Uganda Cranes is currently preparing for the Crunch 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Algeria, and it has been boosted by the visit of the team sponsors, MTN Uganda.
In about 10 days' time, the Uganda national soccer team, the Cranes, will face Algeria in a must-win game in pursuit of 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualification.
Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we are unstoppable. Together, we are unstoppable.
Ahead of that anticipated Group F thriller to be played in Cameroon, as Uganda still lacks a CAF standard stadium, the team's morale has been boosted by its sponsors, MTN Uganda.
It's not about which team, how big the team is, whether they are FIFA ranking 1 or 2 or 3, whether they are Argentina, Brazil. The most important part and the biggest win a sports person and a footballer can get is the passion from the spectators, okay, the passion from their supporters.
MTN are just returned as Uganda Cranes sponsors, but the vibe witnessed during their first stint already exists, with the two most previous Uganda Cranes match days lit with public viewing spots, especially in Kampala, on top of the cash rewards for excellence that they upped.
The reason why we came back is we realized that over the last 2 years, okay, even when Cranes has been playing well, okay, the Ugandans kind of have lost touch with the football. Okay, so as MTN, we want to bring back that passion, okay, and we will ensure that every match Cranes play, She Cranes play, okay, every region where they go to will create enough excitement so that the fans start coming back, and the youngsters of Uganda today.
The team under Michos Reidojovic has been through rigorous training, including friendlies, and is ready for the task ahead.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome MTN back. For a long time, we are happy to have you on board, and we hope this time is going to be fruitful, and we promise we're going to fight for the color, and also we qualify and be in good shape all the time when the national team wants us. We appreciate the effort and also the promises you have placed. We are happy, we are willing to fight and get more from you.
In this 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier Group F, Algeria on 12 points has already earned its place in Ivory Coast, with the other three nations, including Tanzania and Niger, fighting for the second spot. With 2 match days to go, Tanzania and Uganda second and third with 4 points, while Niger is rock bottom. John Barnes, Sentamo, UBC News.
Thank you very much there, John Barnes, Sentamo. Now, as we sign out, let's have the recap on our headlines. Stories all is set for Heroes Day celebrations in Luero. In Kampala, government to terminate delayed contracts in Kampala City. And in court, judge declines to hear Ham's administrative application in the case against DTB. Thank you so much for choosing us once again. I'm Patricia Lokoma-Mpango, and I was joined by Elizabeth Nakakuni there on sign language. Stay with us for more of UBC programming. Bye-bye.
The family of the late Jago Stephen Oruk of Adok, Agwata, Dokolo District announces the untimely passing of their son, Mr. David Patrick Obot Oruk, which occurred on the night of Friday, 2nd June 2023 at Lira Medical Center, Lira City. Church service will take place on Friday, the 9th of June 2023 at St. Luke Church of Uganda, located on the road to Buto, Bweyogerere, starting at 11 a.m. Another funeral service will be at All Saints Cathedral, Barogole, Lira City, on Thursday, the 15th of June 2023, starting at 10 a.m. Burial will take place on Saturday, the 17th of June 2023, with a funeral service commencing at 10 a.m. at Apeti B, Adok Sub-County, Dokolo District. Inform our relatives, friends, and in-laws. May his soul rest in eternal peace, a celebration of a selfless service to humanity.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
A very good evening to you. You're watching UBC TV, and thank you so much for joining me on U Health Chat. My name is Sophia Matovo, and today we are going to be talking about a condition that possibly affects many of us, or many people in a particular age bracket will get to find out, but sadly you might not know what it is, or you might not think that that is what you're undergoing, and that is none other than chronic fatigue. And an expert to take us more into it, because he meets many of the people who are struggling with it, is none other than Dr. Paul Kasenene. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening, Sophie.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you too for accepting to be here with us. Now, doctor, maybe you might start by just the usual way of helping to break down for us. When you talk about fatigue, what is fatigue?
So basically, fatigue is a condition where you either feel like you have low energy or you feel tired. And I know these seem to be the same, but they're a little bit different. Now, typically, people have cycles in their normal day where you feel tired and you feel exhausted. But what happens is that your body should be able to recover naturally. And by morning, usually, you should be fresh and ready to go. So we do have circumstances and situations where this feeling of fatigue or tiredness tends to persist. And if it persists, beyond 2 weeks, and especially when you're trying to get enough rest, and you feel like getting enough rest, then you start to experience what you call more chronic fatigue. And sometimes it's the point at which you need to figure out what's happening, and here's something I can do about it.
Now, on a regular, let's use a scale of the patients you meet. What percentage would you say come in with this kind of condition to you?
So typically, most people will not come in presenting or with their primary complaint as fatigue, but we do have a set of questions that we collect from our clients before they come in to just try and understand their situation better. And what we do find is that maybe 7 out of 10 will mark fatigue as one of the things that bothers them. And that means it's at a level at which they feel it's something that is worth mentioning because they are not comfortable with it. So about 70% of our people will actually tick that they have fatigue as a problem.
Okay. Now, what are the causes of the fatigue?
So It's important for us to understand that, you know, the most common cause of fatigue is usually not getting enough rest, okay? And so we usually like people to assess whether they're actually getting enough rest or not. And typically this means you want to have, on average, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. I say at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Continuous sleep each night on most days of the week. Now, if you're getting that and you're still tired, then you need to explore other things. Now, the 3 most common causes are either not getting enough sleep. The second is that you're anemic or you have a low hemoglobin. This is one of the silent causes of fatigue that most people don't actually know about, and it tends to happen more in ladies, especially because of the menstrual cycle where you have a low hemoglobin level. And then the third thing is sometimes people tend to develop a thyroid issue. So after age 35, for some people, their thyroid starts to slow down. The thyroid is a gland around the neck that's primary role is to regulate energy and metabolism. So these are the 3 things that tend to be the main causes of fatigue. But what I see in my practice is that there are two other things that seem to be predominant drivers of fatigue. The first one is what we call adrenal dysfunction. So we have adrenal glands. The adrenal glands are 2 glands that sit above our kidneys, and they are most popularly known as the stress hormone gland because they produce adrenaline, like the word adrenal, and cortisol. Adrenaline is the hormone for fight and flight. It gives you a lot of energy. Cortisol is the stamina hormone. Now, these 2 hormones play a very vital role in our energy and our survival and the state of our body function. Now, if you've experienced a lot of stress and your body has had to pump out lots of cortisol and lots of adrenaline, sometimes this gland gets tired. And so it's no longer able to produce the same amounts of cortisol that you need to maintain a certain amount of energy. And then you get what we call adrenal fatigue. Now, I find that this is usually the most common cause of what we call chronic fatigue syndrome. And this presents where you feel really tired and you want to sleep, and even when you sleep, even if you take leave for 2 weeks, even if you sleep 7, 8 hours a night, you still feel tired. And this can be addressed, but it tends to be a very common cause, in my opinion, followed by gut health problems. In fact, when somebody has fatigue, one of the first things I will ask them is, do you have gas and bloating in your stomach? If you answer yes, it's likely that that is driving your fatigue, and I'd like to explain to you how that works. So, our stomach lining is intact. It's supposed to allow in only food at a particular point in our intestines. Now, sometimes when you are stressed, your stomach becomes very sensitive because your stomach or your digestive system is the emotional brain. So then certain foods that we eat or certain medications, and these foods are mainly wheat-like foods, milk, eggs, groundnuts, certain foods, fish, beans, they cause inflammation in that lining, and then your lining becomes leaky or porous. So when your gut has small little holes, food can pass through prematurely. Now your immune system recognizes that and tries to mount a response to stop that. Now the response that is mounted as a result of that leakiness causes fatigue, but also causes 6 other symptoms. And people can actually begin to recognize if they have this. They will also have trouble with sleep. They will struggle to fall asleep, or they will find it hard to fall back asleep if they wake up. Others will get headaches. Others will get what we call brain fog. Now, brain fog means your brain doesn't focus and concentrate the way you want to, or your memory isn't so great. Some will have lower back discomfort, and then others will get hormonal imbalances that will present as fatigue, easy weight gain in the midsection, hormonal imbalances around your menstrual cycle if you're a lady, premenstrual syndrome, and a low mood and low libido. So all this tends to be one symptom around a chronic fatigue syndrome that begins in the gut. Of course, we also can get fatigue if you have mental health issues, like if you're getting depressed, because when you have depression, your neurochemistry balance from the brain is altered. That affects your energy system. But I think one of the key messages that I think is important to share is that our body has an energy generating system that is found in every cell. Now, if people were attentive in biology, there was a word called mitochondria. I don't know if you remember that word. There are small little cells the small little organs in our cells that are energy producing factories. So they use glucose as the primary driver, and then there are certain raw materials like magnesium, like coenzyme Q10, like all the B vitamins. They come in and they help to transform the glucose into energy. Anytime you don't have the right nutrients, or you have a problem in this factory, then you struggle to produce energy.
Wow.
And all the things we've talked about, like adrenal dysfunction, can always tie into it. But of course, a big thing is always your diet. If you're not eating foods that are high in magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins, you're going to struggle with fatigue. Interestingly, one of the big things that causes fatigue is sitting a lot and not exercising.
Oh, wow.
And so many people find that they don't have energy to exercise because of fatigue. But ironically, that's the same thing that's making them tired. So there's so many things that can actually cause fatigue, including dehydration. And so I think it's important that when someone is fatigued, before we brush it off as just, oh, I'm not sleeping enough, or I had a long work day, it's important to try and think about all these things. Yeah.
Now, as you have broken it down, among the category of clients you see, who are those that stand out predominantly in terms of the sex? Is it the male or the female? And possibly why do you think that particular gender seems to be most affected?
So first of all, it seems to be more predominant in females, okay? And that's because females are more hormonal beings than male. And so they tend to actually get more hormonal imbalances. But men can also get adrenal fatigue. I think also a big part of it has to do with the fact that women are better at healthcare seeking. And so they tend to, go to look for care when they have an issue. But it's generally, I think the literature says maybe there's 3 times higher chronic fatigue in women, but also because of the kind of things that women do. Women by nature have a lot of demands on them, and we also see it in working class, mothers. So if someone is a mother, is working class from age about 30 to about 50, that's when you typically will see this. Because you see, you're a mother, at the same time you're working, you're a wife, and women are usually also caregivers for their parents, for their siblings. So they tend to be the ones who easily get burnt out. So yeah, and so it's very important that if someone is experiencing these things, they should be able to identify that they actually have a fatigue imbalance.
Then how about the fact that some people, when they feel tired, will instead resort to energy drinks or something that kicks them, up and gets their energy levels up there, and possibly they don't realize that it's actually fatigue?
So, that's the interesting thing. The world we live in has kind of made us believe that it's okay to be tired, that this is a normal consequence of what we do, that you go to work, you're busy, it's a pressure-driven world. So fatigue is part of the package. And so we also have been taught through the media and through, different forces that, just pick myself up. And what we tend to use as stimulants. Now, in the short term, the fastest stimulant are energy drinks. Anything with caffeine, coffee, a soda with caffeine in it. These tend to be the quick pick-me-ups. And because they give you a false sense of energy, not because they produce energy, but because they stimulate the brain, you kind of feel like they gave you energy. But some people are also using alcohol because fatigue can actually, if you take alcohol, you may feel like that fatigue has been kind of calmed down. So it's true that many people are resorting to stimulants, whether it's alcohol or caffeine-driven drinks, or even these recreational drugs. People are actually resorting to those. And it's very important that we realize that these can have major long-term negative harmful effects on our body. And so if you're feeling tired, let's not resort to the energy drink, let's not resort to the stimulants. Let's try and understand what it's doing, what is causing this. And it's not very complicated, interestingly. It just needs you to be honest with yourself, to look at your life and see what you can do to get your health back on track.
Okay. Now, are there any physical, because there are certain times for some of those conditions, at least for you, how you're able to diagnose is you have that form. But medically, if you didn't have that checklist, how would you diagnose it? Because certain times people struggle and will even go on to points of self-medication, given if one gets a migraine headache, you're quick to take action, you know? You're quick to take whatever it is because you're not realizing that it's actually fatigue.
So what I know for sure, or what I would advise, is that the parts that tend to suffer are the places in your body that use the most energy. Now, the parts that use the most energy, the first is your brain. So once you start getting brain-related symptoms, however mild they are, you know, I can't remember someone's name, I'm becoming forgetful. You know, I can't focus enough. I want to take frequent breaks. I'm getting a headache. I don't sleep well. These are the first signs that should let you realize. The next are the muscles. You know, the muscles use about 20% of our energy. The brain, I think, is about 22%. So we tend to find that people will get